They refused to pay the single dad who rebuilt their jet minus, then no one could start it without him. Locked character details. From your image man. Marcus black male, mid-40s, salt and pepper short curly hair plus beard stubble. Dark olive brown leather jacket, over gray Henley shirt. Dark blue jeans. Carrying black metal tool case, minus strong build. Serious focused expression woman. South Asian Latina woman. Late 20s, early 30s. Olive skin. Dark hair pulled back in elegant bun. Dark black fitted shirt. Under deep burgundy maroon blazer. Black trousers minus sharp. Authoritative expression. Hand raised in stop gesture the story. They refused to pay the single dad who rebuilt their jet minus. Then no one could start it without him. The hangar smelled like jet fuel, cold steel, and broken promises. Marcus Reyes set his black tool case down on the concrete floor of Bay 7, Advantage Aviation's private terminal outside Dallas, Texas, and looked at the aircraft in front of him the way a doctor looks at a patient who has been misdiagnosed 4 times and is running out of time. The Gulfstream G650, minus tail number N447, VX minus, was one of the most expensive private jets in the Western Hemisphere. It belonged to Vantage Global Holdings, a privately held investment firm worth somewhere north of $14 billion. It had been grounded for 11 days. Marcus had been called in on day 8. He was not called in by Vantage. He was called in by a panicked junior maintenance coordinator named Phil, who had Marcus's number saved under the guy who actually fixes it. Minus a name Phil had given him 3 years ago, after Marcus had solved a hydraulic calibration issue on a Citation X that 2 certified aerospace firms had declared unfixable. Phil had called Marcus at 6 a.m. Marcus had answered, because he always answered at 6 a.m. His 11-year-old son, Darius, was still asleep. Breakfast could wait. The problem, nobody could name the G650, was refusing to complete its pre-flight ignition sequence. Every diagnostic check passed perfectly. Fuel systems minus clean. Avionics minus clean. Engine sensors minus clean. Flight control surfaces minus clean. On paper, the aircraft was in perfect condition. And yet, every time the crew attempted to initiate startup, the system froze at exactly the same point in the ignition sequence, minus a 4.7-second window. During the 3rd stage of the left engine's turbine, spin up minus, and through a fault code, that Gulfstream's own technical support team had spent 3 days telling Vantage they had never seen before. 2 certified aviation maintenance firms had looked at it. One had recommended a complete engine control unit replacement, minus a $2.3 million repair. The other had recommended grounding the aircraft indefinitely pending further analysis. Vantage's CEO, Priya Sharma, had rejected both recommendations. Not because she was reckless, because she was sharp enough to know that when 2 experts contradict each other completely, at least one of them doesn't understand the problem. She just hadn't expected the answer to walk in wearing a leather jacket and carrying a beat-up tool case. What Marcus saw, Marcus spent the first hour doing nothing that looked like work. He walked around the aircraft slowly, hands in his jacket pockets. He crouched near the left engine intake and just looked at it. He stood at the tail and stared at the fuselage. He asked the maintenance coordinator to pull up every fault log from the past 18 months, minus not just the last 11 days minus, and he read through them sitting on his tool case with a cup of bad hangar coffee. Phil watched him nervously. The other teams had full diagnostic rigs, laptops, specialized equipment. I know, Marcus said, not looking up from the fault logs. They spent days running tests, I know. And they couldn't, Phil. Marcus looked up. Let me read. Phil stopped talking. It took Marcus another 40 minutes of reading before he stood up, walked back to the left engine, and asked the coordinator to attempt a startup sequence while Marcus stood beside the engine with nothing but a calibrated vibration sensor, the size of a television remote. The sequence began. The turbine spun up, and at exactly 4.7 seconds into the 3rd stage, minus Marcus felt it before the fault code even appeared on the monitor. A micro vibration, subtle enough that no diagnostic instrument mounted inside the aircraft would catch it. A faint harmonic resonance in the engine cowling, that was causing the ignition control system's primary sensor array to interpret a false structural anomaly, minus and safety, shutting the entire startup sequence as a precaution. The aircraft wasn't broken. It was protecting itself from something that wasn't actually there, minus a ghost signal created by a cowling fastener that had been over-torqued during a routine maintenance check 4 months ago, creating a vibration frequency that only appeared during one specific window of the startup sequence under specific temperature condition. 11 days, 2 firms, 3 Gulfstream engineers on a conference call. Marcus Reyes found it in under 2 hours. We're not paying that. He wrote up his findings in a clear 2-page report, minus not because anyone asked him to, but because Marcus had learned years ago that in rooms full of people with expensive suits and lawyers on retainer, a clear paper trail was not optional. He itemized the fix, retorque 3 fasteners to correct specification, install a firmware patch to recalibrate the sensor sensitivity threshold, ground test the startup sequence 4 times, full sign-off within 6 hours. His invoice, $18,500, labor, diagnostics, firmware licensing, and documentation for a $72 million aircraft belonging to a Fiend, $14 billion company. Marcus considered that reasonable. Priya Sharma's head of operations, a man named Garrett Cole, minus gray suit. No warmth, minus looked at the invoice, looked at Marcus and said, "We're not paying that." Marcus was quiet for a moment. "Okay, can I ask why?" "No. You're not a certified Gulfstream service provider. Your firm isn't on our approved vendor list, and frankly, a 2-hour diagnosis from an independent contractor isn't worth $18,000. The 2 hours worth of diagnosis just saved you $2.3 million. We don't know that yet." Garrett set the invoice on the steel table between them. "We'll have our certified team implement whatever findings you've documented and compensate you a reasonable consulting fee." "What's a reasonable consulting fee?" $1,500. Marcus looked at the invoice on the table. He looked at Garrett. He picked up his tool case. "All right," he said, and he walked out. 6 days later, the certified Gulfstream service provider arrived on day 14. They reviewed Marcus's report. They attempted to implement the fix. They could not replicate his results, not because his diagnosis was wrong. It was exactly right. The problem was that Marcus had not included, minus because no one had paid him to include minus the specific torque sequencing protocol he had developed for this particular fastener configuration, accounting for the micro-expansion coefficient of the cowling material at hangar temperature versus flight temperature. Without that sequencing, retorquing the fasteners produced a different harmonic frequency that still triggered the fault. The firmware patch he had specified worked, but without the correct mechanical foundation, it was treating a symptom rather than the cause. The G650 remained grounded. Vantage had a problem. Garrett Cole had a bigger problem. Priya Sharma had a conversation with Garrett that lasted 6 minutes and ended with Garrett not saying much for the rest of the day. The call Marcus was under a Cessna citation at a regional airfield outside Fort Worth when his phone rang. Unknown number. Dallas area code. He almost didn't answer. He answered because Darius had a school field trip the next day that needed a permission slip signed. Money sent in, and Marcus was waiting on a confirmation call from the school about timing. "Mr. Reyes," a woman's voice, clear, controlled, direct. "This is Priya Sharma, CEO of Vantage Global Holdings." Marcus set down his wrench. "I understand my operations team declined to honor your invoice. That's accurate. I'm calling to apologize for that, and to ask if you're available to come back." Marcus was quiet for a moment. Outside the hangar, he could hear the wind moving across the airfield, minus the sound of open sky and flat Texas land. "My invoice is still the same number," he said. "I know, and I'll need a signed agreement before I set foot back in your hangar. I'll have legal draft it within the hour. And I want to talk to you directly this time, not your operations team." A brief pause. "Agreed." Marcus looked at the Cessna under his hands. He thought about Darius's field trip permission. slip sitting on the kitchen counter. He thought about the mortgage payment, due in 9 days. "I'll be there tomorrow morning," he said. 7 a.m. The fix Marcus arrived at Bay 7 at 6:53 a.m. Priya Sharma was already there. She was not what he had expected or rather, she was exactly what he had expected, but not in the way that usually made him tired. She was sharp and direct, and clearly had not slept much. But she listened in a way that most people in her position didn't bother to. He walked her through the repair while he did it. Not because she asked, but because he had decided that anyone who shows up at 6:53 a.m. to watch a mechanic work deserves to understand what they're watching. He explained the torque sequencing. He explained the harmonic frequency. He explained why the fastener's interaction with the cowling material created a ghost signal that only appeared in a 4-7-second window at specific temperature ranges. Priya asked 3 questions during the entire process. All 3 were good questions. At 11:18 a.m., the G650's startup sequence completed without fault. For the first time in 17 days, the flight crew ran it again. Clean. Again. Clean. Priya stood with her arms crossed, watching the diagnostic readout show green across every system. She was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "How did you see it when no one else did?" Marcus closed his tool case with a soft click. "I didn't come in already knowing what was wrong," he said. "Everyone else came in with a theory and tried to prove it. I came in with no theory, just listened to what the airplane was telling me." What Priya did next. Marcus's invoice was paid in full that afternoon, with a written apology from Vantage Global Holdings on company letterhead. Garrett Cole's role at the company changed significantly over the following month, in ways that were never publicly announced. Priya Sharma called Marcus again 2 weeks later. Not about an aircraft, about a contract. Vantage's private aviation division, it turned out, maintained a fleet of 7 aircraft across 3 hangars. They had been using the same certified service providers for 11 years. She offered Marcus a preferred contractor agreement, minus flexible schedule, premium rate, direct line to her office, rather than the operations chain. Marcus said he'd think about it. He thought about it while making dinner that night minus pasta. Darius's pick minus and watching his son work through a math problem at the kitchen table with the same careful, unhurried focus that Marcus recognized in himself. He thought about what the contract would mean. More stability, better income, less driving between airfields at 5 a.m. He also thought about the regional operators, the charter companies, the small private owners who called him because they couldn't afford the certified service rates, the people who needed someone who would actually listen to what the airplane was telling them. He called Priya the next morning. "I'll take the contract," he said, "on one condition, name it. I keep all my other clients. I don't become exclusive." Priya was quiet for a moment. "That's not standard for this kind of arrangement." "I know." Another pause. Shorter this time. "Done," she said. What Darius said that evening. Marcus told Darius about the contract while they watched TV. Darius was 11. And had the quality that all 11-year-olds have of absorbing information and then producing a single, devastatingly accurate observation at the end. He listened to the whole story, the grounded jet, the refused invoice, the callback, the fix, the contract. Then he said, "So they needed you more than you needed them." Marcus looked at his son. "Yeah," he said, "something like that." Darius nodded slowly, processing this. "Good thing you didn't change the price," he said, and went back to watching TV. Marcus sat with that for a moment. Then he laughed, minus a real laugh. The kind that comes from somewhere quiet and true. "Yeah," he said. "Good thing. Somewhere over Dallas, a Gulfstream G650 climbed cleanly through 18,000 feet, its engines running in perfect silence. The man who fixed it was home, making breakfast. Minus the end,